Hello there guys and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to go through the new Post Malone album, Austin, giving my first time review and what I think of it. Now to me this seemed like a very quick release after 12 Carat Toothache. Like I swear it's only been like about a year and a half, 2 years, or time really must have flown because this album felt like it was instant. So my hopes weren't that high for a really like great quality album. I wasn't expecting him to put out an album like 12 Carat Toothache, which was not his best, but it was decent, and then put out another album that was going to have any potential. I'm glad to say I was wrong because it's probably one of his best releases, if not his best. But the three singles that have been released for me were a mixed bag. Like Chemical, I wasn't sold on it when it first came out, but it's really grown on me. Overdrive, well, you'll hear my opinion later, and Morning, you'll also hear it later. But for me, the singles were a very mixed bag. But I have actually ended up enjoying most of the album. But throughout the video, just bear in mind that as much as I like Post Malone, you know, I've been to one of his shows, he's not an idol of mine. He's not someone that I'm going to be biased towards. So just bear that in mind throughout the video, that if I don't like a song that you do, it's just because I'm not like a super fan of him. Let's get into this album. So it starts off with Don't Understand, which for me reminds me of a song that Noah Khan would put out. Very singer-songwriter, drive-in-esque sort of song. But for me, the vocals were nowhere near as good as someone like Noah Khan or even Post Malone on other songs. Like, this was not one of his best vocal performances, and for me a very weak start to the album. But I can see people enjoying it. The note changes were really like erratic, and I didn't think it was a very smooth song for Post Malone to sing. Next, going on to Something Real. Now this for me was a lot better of a song than Don't Understand. Really enjoyed this one. Very good vocal performances, and actually for a Post Malone song, because my criticism with them normally is they never feel like they really get going, because he has got a very smooth voice. There's not really anything that ever, like, you know, kicks, but this actually felt like quite grand, and I really enjoyed that. Next, going on to Chemical. Like I said, when it first came out, I really wasn't sold on it, but it has really grown on me. It's so catchy. If you take away the extensive reverb, then it's a pretty good song. Next, we're going on to Nova Candy. I actually thought the vocals on this were beautiful. It's a very listenable and enjoyable track. It's also got that catchy sort of like dance along vibe that a lot of Post Malone songs have. Next, going on to Morning. I didn't enjoy this song. I don't enjoy it as a single. When it came out after Chemical, I was very underwhelmed. And I just can't understand why this, over songs like Nova Candy and other ones as we go further on, weren't a single instead of this. Like, there are way better songs on this album. There's way more catchy songs on this album. Yeah, I'm really not sure why this one was out as a single. But it's fine, I guess. But for me, yeah, it's really not a standout. Next, Too Cool to Die. Now, the thing that I thought when I listened to this was, fucking hell, has he remixed Circles? This song, the instrumental, the chorus, just sounds so like Circles, but it is less catchy. It's a way less catchy version of Circles. And as much as it is inferior to that song, I still enjoyed it. I think it's, you know, Circles is very trademark Post Malone. A song that sounds like that is always going to be popular. So yeah, I enjoyed it as much as it does just sound like a rip-off version of his own song. Next, we've got Sign Me Up. Now this for me felt like a very funky like Post Malone song, and the instrumental makes the song so much better. But because it has got the sort of funky dance along again elements to it, I think this would be a better song live. I think this is one that people would dance along a lot more to. Not a standout for me, but an enjoyable song nonetheless. Now, Socialite, the guitars on this, especially at the beginning, really reminded me of Chemical, and like that for me isn't an issue because it's a song on the same album. A lot of songs you find on albums join up to each other. It's not a very like, oh god, that sounds like Chemical. There's just little things that I picked up throughout that I was just like, oh, they do sound kind of similar. Definitely one of the best vocal performances on the album, like stunning vocals. Even though it's quiet and it's a very typical quiet, beautiful song, sometimes less is more, and this was one of the highlights for me, especially in terms of the vocals. Okay, so going from a highlight definitely to a low light, this is probably one of my least favourite Post Malone songs I've ever heard. Definitely one of my least favourite singles that he's ever put out, Overdrive. This for me has got the same thing as White Iverson. Now White Iverson, I know for people, has got a lot more nostalgia. It's just so repetitive, there's nothing special about it. It's moderately catchy. Yeah, not a massive fan of this one. So let's go on to the next one. And luckily the next one is a really good one, Speedometer. Love this track, and I'm not sure why, because this sort of song that's very beautiful, yes, very easy listening, but it never really feels like it gets going. For me, this song was an absolute toe tapper, and I found myself enjoying it way more than I usually enjoy this style of music, but great song. Hold My Breath. Now this felt like a very personal song to Post Malone, and as much as I respect that, these subject matters I really feel like I've heard him talk about before. For me, it was a nice sounding song, but he's done way better vocal performances, and for a song that sounded so personal to not be like a massive standout, just, I don't know, it makes it feel less personal and it completely takes away from the whole song itself. But I think this will be a song that people cry at his shows the way they do with Lemon Tree, Stay, I Fall Apart, but I would take all of those songs over this one. Right, now we're getting into good songs. Enough is Enough. Wow. For a Post Malone song, fuck me. This song felt so grand to the point, this is probably the best compliment Post Malone will ever get. This song reminded me of stuff like Oasis, Don't Look Back in Anger. Like, it's got such a grand feel to it. And you can just, it's like it's made for festivals, like for thousands of people just singing along to it. Incredible song. This for me is probably my favourite Post Malone song of all time. I love this song. I just think it'd be such a spectacle live, and like, even though when I saw him live I was having an amazing time, I would definitely go back because of some songs on this album. Right, Texas Tea. I liked it. I really like the drop on it. It's got a very smooth, like, well written as well, and it reminds me of elements to Wow. There's so many lyrics all crammed into it, but it's got quite a melodic chorus, so it shows like the elevation in his voice, because he's definitely gone a lot more like singer-songwriter in the past few years, and I think it's a great move for him. Buyer Beware, very listenable Post Malone track, but there's nothing really that notable apart from the Please Don't Burn a Hole in Me line. Yeah, I was pretty bored in this one. The thing I will say about a lot of the songs on this album, they do fly by. Next we've got Landmine. Again, this song feels like it's made for festivals. The backing vocals in it just completely elevate it, so the song alone sounds like there's loads of people singing, so when everyone's fucking singing it, I just think it'd be amazing. And again, it's, you know, it feels grand. I'm a big fan of loud music. I like something that's got a bit of bite to it and something that feels grand and massive. That's what made Oasis so rock and roll, because they had this like character and soul, and everyone loved that, so everyone learned all the lyrics. It just made it so much more rock and roll, and I feel like that's the same thing with this. A lot of Post Malone songs are pop songs, but if they've got a grand feeling to it and just his spirit, it's so rock and roll that you cannot deny it. Next we've got Green Thumb. I know I've just bigged up Post Malone with that last song, but this song could honestly have sent me to sleep. I was bored beyond belief with this song. I know this is one that people love. It'll be, you know, there's always that song on an album that is boring, so the true fans go like, oh yeah, no, honestly it's amazing, he poured his heart and soul out. No, it's dull as fuck. Easily my least favourite on this track list, and it's not like bad, it's just dull. And last but not least we've got Laugh It Off. This was a very solid ending. I get that, it had some really good elements to it. It's got like these drums that crash into each other, and it's just, that gives a really nice feeling of making the song again sound a bit more grand and not like dreary. But for an album that I think is very arguably one of his best, if not his best, I was a little bit underwhelmed. I did expect like Enough Is Enough I would put as the finale for this album, because I think that has just got such an amazing spectacle ending. But yeah, Laugh It Off, I enjoyed it, but it's definitely not one of the highlights for me. I was a little bit underwhelmed by it as a finale track, but again, I enjoyed it. And like I say, those drums and the guitars do give it some soul and character, which I think are words that describe Post Malone pretty well. So overall, I didn't love this whole album, but there were definitely some massive highlights for me. There's some of my favourite Post Malone songs on there, but there's also some of my least favourite. Overall, I think on this album there's more better songs than there are like bad songs, and I think this is Post Malone's best project he's ever done. And like I say, I'm not a super fan of him. I'm a fan of him, but I'm not like, you know, it's not like for me that I am with Youngblood or something like that, where I'm gonna love it regardless, even though I think there are Youngblood songs that are shit. But it completely surpassed my expectations, and I'm gonna give this album a 7, I think. It's well above average, but it's not in the elites for me. But a very listenable album, and like I say, even the songs I didn't like flew by. So it's a very easy listen, and I'll definitely be listening to it again. So yeah, those are my first thoughts on Post Malone's new album, Austin. A very personal album, really enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below what you thought of it, and I'll see you very soon. See you later.